Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Good, I hope. We talked earlier about earlier the week. This week, or was it last week? I think it was last week. Where we talked about me being antidepressant free for a year. And Jonathan, who sent me all those lovely gifts the other day, also we went and did the research and found out that I had mentioned I was tapering off in October or something like that. It was a 6-week process, so I'm pretty close to 1 year. 1 year since I started the thought process of getting off the medication. And I will tell you that one thing I forgot to mention in that video that there's a lot of evidence for on this channel is an absence of wanderlust. And I feel like that is probably one of the largest benefits that I have experienced recently is the absence of the feeling that I'm supposed to be doing something else. And I've had that feeling my entire life that I can remember, that whatever it is I'm doing is not what I'm supposed to be doing or not where I'm supposed to be headed or not, putting me on the correct path or whatever. And I used to work with a guy, Frank was his name. And Frank talked about how, like, every 3 years he was ready to move on. And he was in the military, I was in the military, and we kind of joked about how that was, like, the right cycle in life. Every 3 years you kind of reevaluate and move on. And I can tell you that I've never been, like, in that cycle as far as work goes. I've always kind of maintained jobs as long as I possibly could. My last job was, I would have retired from my last job had I been given the opportunity. The job before that, maybe I was ready to move on, but I also miss it a lot. So, but in my personal life, in my previous marriage, or however you want to look at that, it was a 3-year cycle for us. There was this, like, just abusive every 3 years, just everything piled up, and then we hit each other with all of that, and then reset, and then did it again every 3 years. And that went on for the entire time we were together. And but beyond that cycle, for Frank it was that 3 year. Every 3 years he was ready to, like, just quit his job and leave the state. I've never felt that kind of wanderlust, and I think what I mean when I say wanderlust is the feeling that I should be, I'm stagnant in whatever. I'm stagnant in my job, I'm stagnant in my hobbies, I'm stagnant in my personal life, I'm stagnant, wherever in my life I'm stagnant. And I don't necessarily feel that way anymore. All of this is leading up to this one big but. And the but that I have right now is that financially I am stable-ish in my current situation. I make enough money to pay my bills, and I make enough money to pay for child support and that sort of stuff, and that is it. There's nothing. Like, I don't make enough money to fix my house, and there's a lot that needs done here. I don't make enough money to drive a new car. I don't make enough money to, if something breaks, I have a little tiny bit of savings to fix a refrigerator or whatever, but I don't make enough money to fix things as they break. I'm like basically at a break-even point right now financially, and it's putting me in this really tough place because I enjoy my workplace, I enjoy the people that I work with, and I enjoy the projects that I work on, but there is no room for me there at all to grow. Zero room. I will never advance to any position that is more beneficial than the position I currently have. I don't know that there is a position that could be better. I definitely am not management material. Let me take that back. I am very much management material because I will put people in their place and tell them that they're not worth the money that I'm spending on them as employees. But in a state agency, that's not good management material. It should be. Unfortunately, it's not. So it is what it is. But I'm not good management material because I don't want to be a manager, and I will actively fight against it. I could be like a project manager or a team lead, that sort of thing, but that doesn't exist. We basically have 3 of us So there is no. I mean, we have a team lead. He's our senior engineer who's been there for 20 years. There's no room for a leader to rise above the ranks or get a pay raise or anything like that. So I'm stagnant. I'm very stagnant financially, and that is a problem. And the question I have right now is, how do I solve that? How do I overcome the stagnation? Because I don't necessarily, I'm not necessarily looking for a new job, because I really enjoy the one that I have. And we've talked about all of the various side projects I've attempted over the past 3 years, and trying to find a way to make up that gap, and trying to find a way to just have $100 a month that I could spend on groceries, or not necessarily groceries. I have enough for groceries. $100 a month I could spend on going to the movies, or buying a new tool, or putting some of it away, or whatever. Having any amount of extra money each month would be wildly beneficial to me right now, and it's not something I can easily overcome. And I think with the discussion, the last time I had this discussion, somebody said, well, is doing all of this extra work because you don't get paid enough at your job worth the headache of not getting paid enough at your job? And I think that answer is no, it's not. I wish I could do the job that I do with the people that I'm with and make amount of money that I'm worth, but I can't. It's not possible. I'm a state employee. The amount of money that I get paid is laughable. And there are people that have far, far, far fewer qualifications than me making more money than me at this particular job, and that hurts. It hurts bad. So where do I go? I don't know. I live in West Virginia, and I'm not willing to leave West Virginia right now. I have 2 little girls, and I'm not willing to abandon them. But there's not a lot of opportunity here. And though I'm not actively saying that I'm going to quit my job and find something else, I have to keep my ear to the ground. I've realized that. I have to find the place that is going to recognize my worth and compensate me for that. And that's hard to say out loud. It's really hard to say out loud. But it is what it is, So I've been, for the last 6 or 8 months, I've actively been, not actively, I've been casually looking at what's available around me. And I've realized that I'm at this point in my life where I'm too old to be a new hire. Everybody who's looking for that fresh, graduated college last year person because they want to pay them substandardly. But the funny part is that the wage that they would pay that 25-year-old is more than I make. So I would be more than willing to start at the bottom. But I'm too old for that, because they look at me like I'm this old, man. I'm just old, and I'm not willing to adapt to their environment or learn to be agile or scrum or whatever they need me to be. And that's not true. But it's quickly approaching the fact that I will never be hired on as a associate or junior technician or junior engineer because I'm of my age, and because of the perceived disability that age brings with it. And so I'm in a really interesting point right now that I've been pondering for a while, and I'm not sure what the answer is, but I'm going to keep looking for solutions and trying to do the best that I can for myself, so that I don't have to go back on medication. I'm good though. I just wanted to get that out there. It's tough. It's been very hard to admit it to myself. I'm very loyal. I'm loyal to a fault. I'm loyal to the point that I will be a martyr for the people that I believe in, and that's not okay financially. So, it is what it is. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being my best friends. Thank you for all the amazing support you give me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you coming back and checking in on me, and I appreciate all of the likes and comments and subscriptions and all the wonderful stuff I say every day. Really means the world to me, truthfully. So thank you. I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Doc, wait! I want to ask you something.
Today's random fact comes from MayflowerHistory.com. How long did it take to sail from England to America in the 1700s? By the time the Pilgrims had left England, they had already been living on board the ships for nearly a month and a half. The voyage itself across the Atlantic Ocean took 66 days from their departure on September 6th until Cape Cod was sighted on 9 of November, 1620.